Hey everyone, hi, welcome back to my channel. What are we doing today? Today I am going to do the New Year book tag. I saw this book tag on Hannah from Hannah's Books, and I saw Aaron Facer's version of this tag, and I think Steve Donahue even did this tag. And I wanted to answer the questions, to be honest with you, because it has questions like, how many books are you planning to read this year? What are 5 books that you didn't get to from last year that you want to get to this year? What is your word for the year? And it even asks about non-bookish goals. So if you like conversations like this around books and reading, then I would encourage you to subscribe and stick around. Otherwise, let's just go ahead and get into the meat of this video. I meant to say at the very beginning, but I couldn't remember, but the original tag was actually by this channel, The Bookables, which I will also leave linked down below. Okay, so let's get into the questions. I have it on my phone. And the first question is, how many books are you planning to read in 2023? Now, I don't know. I don't really know how to answer this question because I have decided that I wanted to count picture books as one book read. So if we are including every single book that I read, including picture books that I read for myself, for my own reading, my own enjoyment, which I do like to do, I have a hunch that I will read over 100 books, perhaps closer to the 200 mark, because I feel really motivated to read, especially to pick up picture books because, I'm counting them, which I didn't know that that's the effect of counting picture books as part of my reading. Like tallying it as a book read would actually be a motivating factor for me. I've never really counted picture books as part of my reading before. So that's been an interesting development. But otherwise, as far as novels, full-length novels, books that maybe were written not for children, but for older, for adults like me, then I am going to be reading naturally and not putting any pressure on myself. And I suspect that I will read about 70 to 80. Last year I read 136 books, but that was partly because I was not working. I was working in the home, I guess you could say, and now I'm working in the world and my time is divvied up very differently. So I don't think I'll be reading as many books this year. I could surprise myself. But I suspect that if I was going to do a rough estimate, it would be anywhere between 70 and 100. Question number 2 is, name 5 books that you didn't get to in 2022, but want to make a priority in 2023. Now, I'm going to answer this a little bit differently. I'm going to show you books that I started in 2022 and I have an interest in them still. They're not DNFs. I just somehow set the book aside and got busy with other reads and want to come back to these books. So the first one is a nonfiction book, and I was jazzed when I was reading this, and then I got distracted, and I don't really know what happened, but it is Extraordinary Insects, and this is by Anne Sverjup-Thygesen, and it is all about the amazing lives of little bugs, and it was really funny. It had this really incredible sense of humor to it. It was very readable, and somehow I just put it aside and I didn't pick it up again, and so this would be a great book to finish in 2023. One book that I did start a couple of different times, but I had a difficult time getting into it. However, the book at large, there are like 3 plays that are often bound up as one. Maybe that gives it away. Anyways, one of the plays was mentioned in the book Middlemarch by George Eliot, and it has renewed my interest in finally getting to this ancient writer, and that is Oedipus the King by Sophocles. Is that right? Sophocles? Oh gosh, I have such a hard time because I sometimes say Socrates, but that's not right. It is Sophocles. Anyways, so I wanted to read this. I've even picked it up. I've tried it on audio, and I just think that I need to set a weekend aside and give all of my brain power to Oedipus the King. Now, Oedipus the King itself was on my 22 classics for 2022 list. I didn't get to it. And then it's extended because I don't necessarily want to read Oedipus the King, but I want to read Antigone, but I want to read Antigone in the context in which it was written, which is in the Oedipus cycle. And Antigone is the book that was written as a reference in Middlemarch, and it references it in contrast or comparing Antigone, I think, the character, to Dorothea, which is one of my favorite character in Middlemarch. And so I'm like, I really want to understand the reference. I have a vague idea of who Antigone, if that's her name, the main character in Antigone, like what she was doing and how she did it. But it's, having a vague idea and then actually reading a play itself or actually going to the source material are two totally different things. So I want to actually get into the plays, and I have a renewed interest in this for 2023, I suppose. All right, another book, because I am always trying to build that ancients knowledge with my reading. It's always a vague goal in the back of my mind. And so I read, at this point it was a year and a half ago, but I read Lysistrata by Aristophanes, and I wanted to read more of this playwright and get more into those ancient Greek plays. However, I did pick up the next play in this book, which is The Frogs, and I couldn't get into it. But again, I want to renew my strength and try again. Because I just want to have a more broad knowledge and more accessible touchstones of ancient Greek literature. And I think that, Aristophanes is a staple in that knowledge, All right, and then my final book, which was so weird. Again, I get distracted. Sometimes I'll read a chapter or two in a book. I'll even get 50 pages, and then I just get totally distracted. I start, going towards something else that's just, more exciting, that's sucking me in more. Or sometimes that I have more of an obligation to read because I'm doing a buddy read with somebody. And so sometimes I'll put the book that I'm reading for myself aside and join the buddy read. And then I don't ever cycle back to that book. And that's kind of what happened, I believe, with Lab Girl by Hope Jaron. This was so good when I was starting off. It was such a great, interesting memoir. This is a memoir of Hope Jaron, who works with plants and trees and seeds. And she's talking about the natural world and is able to seamlessly incorporate episodes from her life, and it was working for me. And then somewhere along the way I got quite distracted, so I'm hoping to get back to this one. Question number 3, this is, what genre do you want to read more of? Now, Hannah mentioned that there were 2 ways to read this question. So what genre have you might neglected that you want to read more of? Or what genre do you in general just want to pick up more? So a genre that I neglected for sure, although it's not even a genre, perhaps it is. It's more of a time period, but it would be the ancients. Here I am showing books I didn't get to in 2022, and 3 of the 5 of them are ancient Greeks or ancient works of literature. So I feel like that is the genre, even though I, sort of cringe when I say genre, but it's the the time period that I think I neglected the most in 2022 that I would like to consume more of, or of which I would like to consume more. But in general, a genre that I just want to pick up more, I guess there might be two. Well, one of them is connected to the ancients, and it's ancient Greek retellings. But I think naturally I'm just gravitating towards them because I'm finding them riveting. I picked up Mary Renault's The Persian Boy, and I'm like, that is amazing. It's so good. It's in my bag right now. But the genre that I would just like to get to know a bit better is fantasy, or SSF, so science fiction fantasy. To me, it's all the same. It's a world that is not our own, that is very, that has a system, whether it be a science system or a fantasy system, that works on its own. And it makes sense in the logic of the books, even though it doesn't exist in our own world. That's the genre that that's the world I want to be in more. And I have quite a few books in regards to, like, I have older books, newer books, I have books. Science fiction fantasy to the left of me, science fiction fantasy to the right of me, and I really need to get into that genre because I have a good time with it every time. Question number 4 is name 3 non-book related goals for 2023. I didn't think ahead of time. I got books, but I didn't really think about this. Well, one goal I always have is to drink more water. This year is no different, and it's really connected with a larger, more sort of overarching goal for my life, which is to take like good care of myself, and in this physical quality, not necessarily working out, but just making sure that I'm fueling myself properly, that I am, not suffering through headaches, which I get quite a few of, that I, drink a lot of water, make sure that I'm hydrated, make sure that I am taking Tylenol if I really need to take Tylenol, and that I just really take care of myself in that very like sort of specifically physical way, that, kind of like the easy stuff, get enough sleep, drink water, but then sometimes the easiest stuff is the most hard stuff. so there's that. The second, like non-book related, is going to be booktube related, because booktube and books are totally different. I have a little visitor and I'm going to say that I'm already doing it, but one of my goals was to, hi, you want to come over here?
Yes. In a video, let's dance.
Since I didn't think about these questions ahead of time, I am not going to answer. One of my answers is going to be book related. That's what I was going to say. So the other non-bookish related goal is the booktube related, and it's these interviews. It's these interviews that I wanted to do, these one-on-one superlatives that I'm doing now, and they've been so much fun. They've been so enjoyable, and I am really wanting to continue to do this for at least the interviews that I've set up so far. It's just been a lovely time that I've spent with others. I've loved spending time with others. It's been fantastic. So that's a goal that I'm currently achieving. And then my third goal, which is book related, but I think it's not about quantity or numbers, and it's going to be to continue to mood read for this year. I've been really enjoying that. I am not really sticking to it strict schedule. I'm not building intense TBRs. My TBR videos are more like, what am I going to be in the mood for this month? And I am just going with what I want to read, which is really phenomenal. And of course, because I do videos and I hang out with people who also make videos, and I watch a lot of booktube, a lot of what I'm inspired by are booktube videos and what's going on with booktube. So of course I'm still influenced by booktube, but it's not like the cart before the horse. It's if I'm feeling in the mood for a book and it happens to coincide with an event or it's inspired by an event, then I'm letting the event inspire me versus being like, I just want to join, even though it sounds fun, but I'm already overbooked, and I want to just make sure that I'm supporting people and joining in, and maybe kind of getting it all kind of sucking the fun out of it, because that's sometimes what I do. I suck the fun out of things. So I'm trying not to do that. I'm just like, making sure that I'm keeping things fun and light and enjoyable. Okay, on to the next question. What's a book you've had forever that you still need to read? Now, the book I actually bought recently, but I read a sample of this book years ago, like 2, 3, before BookTube, years ago, and then I just never came back to it. I enjoyed the sample. What is my problem? And that is Call Me By Your Name by Andre Aciman, which was it was so good. It was so good. And then I just didn't continue with the sample on my Kindle. And then I bought the book, thinking that buying the book would inspire me to read it. I haven't picked it up. And yeah, I really need to get to this. And the final question is one word describing 2023. And I will say that my one word, I do have like a phrase for the year, but I'm just going to share, I have a concept that I'm following for the year, but I'm going to keep that to myself, not because I don't want to share with you all, but because I just want to keep it for myself. But I'll tell you one of the words in that concept, which is shaping my year, at least for myself internally, and that is joy. I'm finding that joy is really important to me, and that is something that I have to strive for and work for. And and so it's been one of the components of my focus for this year. So anyways, that's it for me. If you are interested in doing this tag and you weren't tagged and you're just like, itching to do it, I would encourage you to just do the tag. If you don't have a channel, but you love these questions and you're like answering the questions in your mind, maybe that's a sign that you need to start a channel. But if you don't want to, or you don't have the time, or for whatever reason, then you can leave your answer in the comments down below. I'd love to read it. And yeah, that's it for me. So thank you so much for watching. Thank you so much for being here. And I will see you all in my next one. Bye, guys.